Grove, the Awarests Grove. I'm Dr. Stephen Hobbs from the Wealth Movement. I'm sharing with you insights, ideas, investigations, interpretations, inquiries that result from Awarests, which is about awareness and forests. And it's a book series that I've created. I've published the first one on March the 21st, 2023. And on a quarterly basis on the solstice and equinoxes, in this case, June 21st, 2023, Awarests 2 will be available. And in between those times, there are these presentations, these broadcasts that I'm going to make under the banner of Awarests and invite you into the grove where we can have some dialogue, conversations. And I can pick up comments that you might leave for me in between videos, or if you're adding anything while you're listening to the live broadcast, I will pick up on them and bring them to the foreground. So these broadcasts are to expand the understanding of Awarests as I'm presenting it. So it's the experience I'm sharing with you so that you can create an experience to experience something about awareness and force in your own life. And to be able to do that, there are some ideas that I want to share with you today that sort of link up with how can you become involved. And with that, it's a way in which to again extend and expand the possibilities of the reach of Awarests through you, with you, because of you, that you can help me to bring these stories forward. So I have a few slides, jams. Some people call them Google Jams, some people call them slides, whatever you would like to acknowledge them, that I'm going to bring up and share with us so that we can take a look at some ideas that I can bring forward with you. Now, this notion of Awarests, again, for some of you, it may be new, so I'm just going to briefly share here, is that it comes from the sense of there's an RE in between here, and RE is another way to express about. So the notion is awareness and forest through the re aspect in between within awareness and forest, so that we end up with Awarests. And what's kind of fun here is that we actually end up with the word aware and rests. So it's another meaning of this is to be aware of those places in which you rest, the times that you rest, and to be able to sort of, in some ways, slow down a little bit and really appreciate what's around you, and in particular, the forests and the trees. Now, to be able to bring this all forward with you, there are three questions that I want to answer. The first one is, whole is it? The next one is, why is it? And the next one is, how is it? Now, this first question, often people scratch their heads and go, what are you talking about? Whole is it? It's not a usual question. Whole isn't one of the why, how, when, where kind of ideas, but it's a new question I want to bring into our sharing here at Awarests. And the whole is to take a look at what we would call the capitalized IT. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out the I capitalized with small t and the small I, small t, as I expand this. Now, the whole is about I transition. Now, I transition because of what it is that I'm sharing. And it's possible for you through your involvement that you can transition. So you have your own sense of whole is it. Your answer to that question is I transition because of, through, with, for, from. your involvement with Awarests. And the idea here is this whole question is a way to prompt you to think about what does it lead to? So what does your involvement in awareness lead to, which gets you to understand intention and attention, which is linked to awareness. And I'll be doing some videos about that and extending that understanding for you, a presentation on it, so that you can deeply and richly answer the question, whole is it because of my involvement with awareness? The next one that I want to take a look at is, why is it? And the it here is a capital I and small t, because there are things that are happening in your life. There are things that you have brought forward that you consider important to you, those it's that are important to you. And why we're doing awareness is to bring this awareness and forest story together. Often we just pass by trees, pass by forests, and not really pay attention to them. Well, what would happen if we actually said, well, today I'm going to go visit a forest. I'm going to go visit some trees. And what you're doing is you're giving greater meaning to those it's, those trees, those forests. And you're bringing them forward and saying, this is important to me. Why is it important? Is because I want to slow down. Maybe I want to really look at the metaphor of trees and forests. Maybe it's a self-care day and you just want to be with the trees and be with their essence, listen to their whispers as you interact with them. So there's a deeper why for each of us that we bring forward, because what it leads to is the whole is it. Your explanation, your involvement is the why of it, which then brings out, well, how do I do it? And the it is, well, the it could be sitting with your back against the tree, standing just outside of the view of the tree so you can see the whole tree, to be able to walk along a path and see each of the different trees that are there. Maybe there's a deciduous tree on the right, an evergreen on the left, and you find that that evergreen is a white spruce. What you might find is that deciduous tree is a trembling aspen, and you're looking at it. You're actually getting in and looking at what is going on, what's in front of you. You've given it some sense of recognition. You've given it the sense of it. Then you can sort of, in a sense, enfold it and go, well, those two trees are important to me. Why? And what do they lead to in my life? And you might find it's really interesting is that the trembling aspen, the story behind it is the petiole, which is the between what we would call the leaf and the branch, is very flat. And what's happening is when the wind passes over it, it flutters. And I always share the story is that the tree master gave to the trees this idea of the trembling aspen, a way in which to always catch the sunlight as the wind blows. And therefore, it was just one way in which to share a thank you with the trembling aspen, to give it the sense of movement so that it could catch all the different angles of the sun and the sunlight that is used in the photosynthesis. So there's different stories like that that you can start to unfold, and metaphorically they may give some meaning to you that you can unfold different ways of looking at it. So in one sense, we are traveling through them from a whole to why to how. But again, you can and say, well, this is how I see it. This is how I'm involved. Why would that be important? And whole is it? So this involvement of whole, why, how, answering these questions is just a really wonderful way for you to become aware of the forest, to have the forest become aware of you, and to be able to share it. And that's what awareness is about, and your involvement with it. So I want to extend that and look at other ways in which to take a look at what's taking place. So what I wanted to do was just share with you is that Awarests 1 is available now. And what you can do is you can go to the website, wealthmovement.com/Awareness to get the general idea, or /Awareness 1 dash more to get insights about the Awareness 1 book that's available. And so I would encourage you, if you can, is to like, share, comment wherever you find references to this Awareness 1, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on any of the other digital media channels. I would certainly encourage you to get involved and share the story so that we can get out this why and how because of the whole. And again, you can repeat that. But with your comments, what I'm able to do is get a sense of what's important to you and what's satisfying to you. And that helps me to be able to create a book, Awarests 2, 3, 4, 5 on this quarterly basis that would be, I believe, of worth, share the truth, of utility for you. And that way you are helping me to get this out into the foreground conversations of the persons and being for the world, with the planet, from the whole. Now, to be able to get that to happen, one of the things that I would like you to recognize is that the next issue of Awarests, in other words, Awarests 2, will be on June the 21st, 2023. Now, I need a few weeks to be able to pull it all together in terms of its production, and therefore I'm asking for all submissions to be in by June the 1st, 2023. Now, there is a bit of waviness to that. It's not a forced requirement, it is a request. But certainly I wouldn't be able to say to you, well, if you send it to me on June 20th, it's going to go in, because there are some preparation requirements necessary, and I'll use requirements there, to be able to publish it on Amazon. And I need a good 6 days ahead of time to get it up, to make sure that it meets all the margin requirements and all the production requirements, to have it ready on the June 21st. But I also recognize is that you may say, hey, listen, I can actually get it to you on June the 3rd, and you can share that with me through an email. You can share it as a comment somewhere, and I'll pick it up and I'll be able to answer you. Okay, I understand. And while I'm in production of other areas, I can wait for what you're going to share. So I'm attempting to interact with you in such a way as that you can feel as though you're getting full involvement in the production, and therefore have your piece placed in the book. So it's very much a prompt and activity book. It's for those who would have aging as a storyline. Now, that aging storyline could come because of solo aging. It might come about, oh, I'm a grandparent and I'm aging, but I'd like to contribute because I'm going to use the book with my grandchildren. It might be those of you who are parenting and you're seeing a way in which to involve your parents because of their aging, in a sense, to share what they care about, and it would go into the book as well. But it may also find its use in a reference book somewhere, and others pick it up and they go, wow, this is kind of neat. And oh, there's a crossword puzzle here. Oh, there's a maze that I have to work through. Oh, there's coloring pages. Oh, look at these really wonderful stories. And therefore, this prompt activity book is then made available. And therefore, June 21st, 2023 is when the next one's going to come about. So I just want to share with you then, what are some ways that you can get involved with what's taking place? So here's a few of them. There's many other ways in which to do it, and that's why I am recognizing that there is a sense of other that you can get involved with. But let me give you three that usually take place, and let's see what unfolds there. So from a writing point of view, you may want to write a tree story, a forest story. And sometimes that could be maybe 300 words, 500 words. If you start to get above 1,500 words, then what we're going to do is create the Awarests anthology of tree stories, and be able to do through sharing the longer stories about trees and forests through this anthology. And as time goes by, let's see if that actually that happens. So you can send in longer ones, but shorter ones tend to go into the prompt activity book. Now, this writing can also be personal stories that come from your own experiences. There are foresters that are interacting, and they're going to start sharing some of their stories. Actually, in my life, when I first went into university, once I sort of said, well, civil engineering is not for me, I went and got a diploma in forestry because you can probably guess trees and forests are of interest to me. And I thought that I would get involved with forestry from that perspective. I decided not to go into it full time in terms of the silviculture and the harvesting aspects of trees and forests. I wanted to get into the forest recreation aspect of it that led me into the outdoor recreation, outdoor pursuits component of it. So there is that writing, but there may be a story from your childhood. There may be a story today of a favorite tree that you want to share, and taking a picture of it and putting it with the words would be a great way in which to share their writing. Now, also poems, different kinds of ways in which to write poems. I have someone who's submitted some haiku for adding to Awarests 2 already. And so I'll be putting those in. There are other ways in which to write poems. There's long poems, short poems, very narrow poems, poems that sort of almost look like a tree. There's all different kinds of ways in which to put poetry forward, and we'll take a look at it and include it in Awarests 2, 3, 4, 5 as it goes along. So those are some ways about the writing. And if you have some variations of that that you want to share, there is a website, wealthmovement.com/Awarests. You can use the contact page reference there. And there are ways in which to go through the social media to ask me questions as well, the digital media channels, and they'll be listed in the show more, learn more notes wherever you find this video. The next thing I wanted to acknowledge is drawing. Now, the drawing component, you may do hand drawings. I've got a sketchbook over here, and what I'm talking about over here, this is my creator table, my co-creator, eco-creator, enviro-creator, whole creator table. And I have all my reference books and my sketch books and research notes and everything that I use to play with to be able to bring to the foreground Awarests and to be able to do its production. It's also where I have my morning coffee urn, and but I have my coffee mug here with me, and I sip it every once in a while just to enjoy the taste of the coffee. So there's a grounding rock, everything like that. So my creator table is over here. So you may have something like that, and what you're doing is you're drawing, hand drawing trees and forests. But some of those you may not actually color in, and they could be used by taking a picture of them, sending them in. They could be used for coloring, or some of your drawings, you could have it presented in color, and then through some production magic, I can turn it into a black and white, and other people can color it as a sort of, here's another look at your hand drawing. Now, something else that I'm doing from a drawing point of view is every once in a while I go into some of the AI world, the artificial intelligence world, and play around in there and get the artificial intelligence engines to give me back pictures. Some of them are colored, some of them are not. Some of them I can put into silhouettes. And so the drawing through AI might be something that you're doing. And what's actually happening now is one of my requests of you is, other than putting in what you might see as the trees and forests and your awareness of them, is that I have a project going called Celestial Dendrology. And dendrology is the study of trees. Celestial is, what would trees look like and forests look like if we went to another planet? So how do we imagine these trees to look like? So I've started to play around a little bit with that, and I'm starting to put some ideas out through the different digital media channels that you might find, and or they will be on wealthmovement.com/Awarests. Some examples will be there as well. So that's the drawing aspect of it. Hand drawings, you could use computers to create things. So I leave that with you. Now with the photography, there's all different ways in which you can use the camera to go out. You can take obviously the pictures of things that you see. That might be what you've created, I've just mentioned. But while you're walking, you might see some really fabulous images out there. And so you might have your small camera, you might have a more intense camera that you have bought. You may have it so that you can take videos. There's all different ways in which this photography and video can come about as well. Matter of fact, the other day, I was walking and came around a corner and a calf moose was there. I had to remember, wait a minute, there was a mother moose somewhere. I happened to have my camera up because I was going to take a picture of a tree against a little bridge, and I was getting ready, but then I saw the calf moose, so I happened to get it up, get a picture. But I'm saying on the video, I think I'll walk backwards out of here because I didn't know where mom moose was at the time. And the next day, the mom moose and the calf were on the other side of the ravine that I was walking along. So it was kind of interesting is that I have these different videos and pictures. And again, some of that has gone up on the YouTube channel. Some of it's gone up on Twitter, different ways in which to bring it forward. And maybe you have some of those as well, those pictures, those videos. And what we can do is put them up. Now, if I get swamped with videos and pictures, I'll be looking at what are some ways in which I can put them up, maybe on my website. Maybe I could take a look at, if we're getting enough of it, you know, those websites where you can go to get free and paid pictures and videos. Maybe you create something like that. That would be a value in terms of supporting you. So let's sort of see what happens there. Other ways, I'll just go into that, is maybe you're a sculptor and there's some sculpting you want to do, or woodworking, or there's something about wood that you're doing that you thought might be of interest to someone. I'm reaching out to someone who uses blocks of wood from a fitness point of view. So I thought that I would ask her if she would like to write up a short little story or shoot a video so I can get her to explain the use of wood in fitness. Maybe you're someone who carves wooden toys, and you may like to sort of say, hey, I'd like to share a little bit about what's going on. So this is a good time to acknowledge is that one of the ways that I say thank you to you is, at minimum, your first name and the country you come from. So Stephen, Canada. If you've got something that you would want to take people to and you want to acknowledge, I'll put up your website. So Stephen, Canada, wealthmovement.com/Awarests. I would put that up to be able to acknowledge. But I'm not taking a look at this as a way in which to sell sponsorship or ad space or anything like that. What I'm doing is I'm just looking to involve you in ways in which to bring awareness and forests together and see what we might be able to do. Because at the end of the day, what I'm doing here, and let's just go back to one of the slides, it's to bring forward this sense of whole, why, and how. So Awarests, the different books, one, which is out now, 2, 3, 4, as I move along on a quarterly basis, they're for fun raising. So to have fun with them, prompt and activity books, but they're also for fund raising. There are some projects that I am supporting, and I sort of liken them to the story of lake, rivers, oceans. So if you know about the water cycle, when it rains, fills the lakes out into the rivers out into the oceans and seas. So I sort of liken the lake as something that's local. So there is a local service club that I'm supporting. The rivers sort of take it from local through regional, maybe to national kind of idea, and the river flows. And I've got a project that I'm supporting there. And then there's this notion of out into the oceans, a sort of a cross country is the influence of oceans. And I have a project that I'm supporting there as well. And maybe there's something that you want to bring forward as a project that you would like us to become aware of. And I can put references in the Awarests books and again, put them up on the website. Now, if we get swamped again, what we can do is create a programs and project book and write it up and provide it out as a way for people to learn about all these different programs and projects that are available out there. So I'm not certainly adverse to putting that together as a reference out of Awarests. So I'm hoping that you can see is that there's a lot of different ways in which we can sort of take a look at Awarests and interact with each other and your involvement. And indirectly, in many ways, like for myself, is that through your involvement, there is an evolvement. And I like that word because if I come back to the beginning of it, evolve, here's a little fun activity. If you take the first 4 letters of evolve and flip them around, you get the word love. If you take the 2 middle letters and you flip them around and add the last 2 letters, you get love. And what I thought about at one point in time is you have to love your history. So looking into where you've come from, but you've also got to look at reframing the mystery of what you're interacting with. And that's where trees and forests are so great, because depending on what tree is in front of you, you can look at it like a journal, a nature journal. And you can start to figure out, well, if I have this kind of tree here, what might have been the trees or forests like before this tree? And with this tree, what might be the forests and trees going to be like in the future? So this love of the history of trees and forests, the love of the mystery of trees and forests. And here's the great thing. Those two middle letters, low, is actually a phrase that I remember. It's called lo and behold. So lo and behold, you become present wherever it is you are. You have presence. So let me say it in a long version. Love the history of trees and forests. love the mystery of trees and forests, lo and behold, you start to find your presence with the trees and forests. And that's just such a beautiful way to remember, is that through your involvement, you actually have a sense of your evolvement. And for me, that is a beautiful message to share in being for the world with the planet from the whole. So I think that that's going to sort of draw this video presentation of Awarests to your involvement, and encourage you to, through writing, drawing, photography, or whatever way that you want to interact, so that you can find your own answers to whole, why, and how, is to share it with us. And I'm going to use us. I'm going to be sort of a person to bridge it. And maybe you want to get involved some other way. Let's see what happens. I'm certainly open to your involvement, and let's see what unfolds. And it's open for the world, with the planet, and certainly from the whole. So let's see what unfolds for us. Awarests 2, June 21st, 2023. Give me 3 weeks back from there. So yes, June 1st, 2023 is when I need everything in. We find ourselves sort of the middle of April now. So we've got 6-7 weeks to be able to start collecting things together. I've already started that process, so it's starting to take place. And please, if you would, share whatever you can, Awarests 1 book out there. That would be really great, because then that, in a sense, ripples out more insights and ideas that are available around the Awarests story. So with that, take care and look forward to your involvement.